liking this vase better. It's a small little opening. I hope it's giving everything enough room. It's very, very pretty. I love the colors a lot better in this one. So I started this project about a month ago, and I went to Trader Joe's, and I think Albertsons, and I picked up some flowers. Actually, I think these were all from Trader Joe's. I picked yellow roses and pink carnations, and I have these little cherry blossom branches, and I think that was it. It was a pretty simple arrangement because this vase has a small opening, and so I had to arrange them in kind of a unique way with only the 3 main roses that I was going to paint. I've been wanting to do this for a really long time, where I just buy fresh flowers and make my own arrangement and paint from life. I think when you paint from life, at least I just noticed a difference with this painting compared to some of my other flower paintings that I painted from pictures or from books. I think the colors are a lot more informed and rich because I'm actually seeing so many more colors when I'm looking at this in real life. I started with a couple of sketches. I'm trying to figure out the composition, and I have to do some kind of sketch because I want this painting to be pretty accurate to what I'm seeing. So I have to make a sketch where I figure everything out. You can notice that I'm holding my pencil kind of like a paintbrush. It's kind of like on its side and it's kind of flat all the time. I hold my pencil this way because it helps me be really loose, and I like to draw in very straight lines. So as you can see, the roses are kind of all just angled lines, and that helps me to really actually look at the angle. And I was trying the technique where you hold your pencil up at an arm's length, and you can actually see the size. Since I was this close and I knew the roses were going to be about the same size, it's not like I'm painting this on a huge scale. My canvas is pretty much relative to how big my still life was. So I knew that things were going to be pretty much able to be translated in that way. So that was the first sketch I did, where I kind of just zoomed in on the base, and I didn't really think about the entire composition, but it helped me get a feel for the way that the flowers were laid out. So with this sketch, I went in knowing that this is what I'm going to map the composition out, and I wanted the entire vase to be in the composition, as well as this little bowl at the bottom. So in the bowl, I just put another rose. It actually had fallen off of a stem, and so I grabbed that one and just put it in a bowl with a couple of blossoms, because I think that when you have a vase, anchoring it with something on the bottom, like a flower that's dropped or an item or something, it just kind of helps your eye move throughout the composition in like a circle, instead of just looking at the roses. You can get a good composition though if you have like some leaves coming down or some interesting fabric. So there's definitely ways to do it. But I chose to just do something on the bottom to kind of anchor the composition. So I'm sketching this out very loosely, as you can see, and I am just using like a standard pencil. And I'm trying not to erase too much because this is just my initial sketch. Once I transfer this to the canvas panel that I'm working on, you'll see me erase like so many times because I really want to make sure that the sketch, or at least like my guide marks, are in the right spot before I start painting. But after that, the painting really helps me figure out where things are a lot more than drawing. And I don't really know why that is, but I just think I can really figure things out best through paint because that's what I'm used to. So I'm just keeping most of this footage. I'm keeping most of this footage in real time because I just want you to be able to see what my actual pace is most of the time. I know it's pretty slow, but I feel like drawing should be shown to a certain point, like the reality of it. So many videos online are just so fast that it's hard to actually imagine that the drawing is so slow, and everyone makes it look like so decisive and fast, but I really take a long time to figure out where things are, and I think that's how most artists work, is things aren't really fast like how they are online. Alright, so something you saw me do was just, my paper was slightly smaller than my canvas panel, but I did just put it against my canvas panel and kind of made little tick marks for just where things are. Like, this is where the flowers end, this is where the vase starts, because that's some really important information. And a lot of times I'll start a sketch with the main subject. Like, if I started the sketch with the flowers, then I could easily make them too big or too small, and then I keep drawing everything in proportion to that, and then it turns out wrong. So if you make little tick marks of like, this is where the vase ends, and this is where it starts, and this is where the flowers are in relation to that, it really helps you clearly see, okay, the flowers can't be outside of these marks, or otherwise I won't be able to fit everything that I wanted to in this composition. So then I am going in with some acrylic paint. This is an entirely acrylic painting. I know I haven't really shown the process of a lot of my recent paintings, but I have been working in oils recently. I had a self-portrait that was kind of like an abstract thing. I painted a self-portrait, like a side profile of myself, a while ago, and then I did like a paint pour behind it, so it had like kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of weird, and I didn't like it anymore, but it's on a really, really nice board, and I didn't want it to go to waste. So I painted over it with oil paint, and I made it into like an actual realistic portrait of myself, just because, I didn't want to totally start again. I wanted to work with what was on it, but it's like a realistic portrait now in oils. So I've been painting in that way with oils, and there was another painting I was working on with oils. Can't think of it at the moment. A small study of some flowers, that's what it was. But I am using acrylics on this, and I'm trying to use those principles of oil paint into my acrylic practice, and it's very, very difficult because obviously you have to keep remixing the paint if you want to soften an edge or blend out an edge. And I know that my acrylic paintings are a lot more choppy in that way, because you're almost just laying colors beside another because the paint is drying so quickly. And so it's not like you're really blending it as much. The piece that you're watching me work on right now, it's not actually finished, I don't think. I have it in the room that I'm recording this right now, and I think that I need to add a few more details to the first flower to really just make it stand out a little bit more, to add an edge to I think the left side of the vase, I'm not really sure. And then other than that, I want to keep it pretty loose. And then maybe like some of the cherry blossoms just kind of define ever so slightly. But I'm pretty happy with this for an acrylic painting of mine. And I think it would be a really beautiful oil painting. I have a photo of this still life. It doesn't compare to painting it from life, but I think having painted it from life, I can maybe like, use this painting as a reference for if I make it into an oil painting. And I think that could be really helpful. The other thing is, when I was painting this, the flowers were just kind of starting to die really fast, and I work a full-time job, and so I wasn't able to work on this like as much as I really wanted to, and so I would come home and like the flowers just looked slightly more wilted than they did the day before, and I was like, dang it, I need to work on that. And then it kind of put pressure on me to work on it when, maybe I wanted a little bit of space from it so I could properly see it again. But yeah, I think I'm definitely interested in working with oils more, and I think that making acrylic paintings as like underpaintings is a really interesting thing. I do like starting a painting with oils, and I need to do it more so that I can really figure out the style that I like. Like wet on wet is really fun to do, but I do like painting a painting in acrylic and then going over it with oils in just a few areas to like soften the edges and stuff. I think both are really interesting styles. So but yeah, you'll see me painting at night. Like right now I'm painting at night because that's usually when I have time to paint, unfortunately. And this was the most difficult part because when I set up my still life, I didn't set up any type of like still life box like with cardboard or anything, and so the light source was probably not as strong as I should have had it to like make an interesting painting. I think it provided so many challenges because I didn't have that. And then especially painting at night, I was like, well, how do I make a light source? Because I was just kind of using the window as a light source during the day. And so I have a overhead light where you can like attach your phone to one of those tripods. And I just kind of clipped it onto my easel and used it as an overhead light. Plus using my photo reference to kind of see the changes in the light. Anyways, I do talk later on. It was really fun to work on, and I'm definitely going to explore this more in the future. Yeah. Is that right? Like, closer. Okay, I think this has kind of gone away from me, this whole area. Um, Trying to figure out what I want to do. Well, first, I kind of got rid of this highlight here a little. Obviously, like this whole shape is not accurate to what it actually looked like. And that was because I made a couple of adjustments, but I don't want to add too many details to these other two flowers because they're supposed to be the background flowers. There's actually quite a big bit of space that I need to get rid of. So I'm gonna mix a brown to kind of match the background color. Flower is also not accurate, so if I want to change that, then I will change it. But yeah, I wasn't like super accurate with the proportions of everything in the initial phases of this. I wish I would have fixed them earlier because now it's kind of a pain to go back. It's fine, I have my reference, but a little out of practice with life painting. I feel like I can't capture the light properly. Actually, the light looks really cool right now. I was thinking of doing a couple studies, and then here I'm kind of defining some edges of like what I want to be harsh or not. I make a lot of mistakes when it comes to proportions, and sometimes it's good if I can identify it and know it. And in this case, if it's something that's like really gonna affect the composition or the lifelike feeling, I'm gonna fix it. But if I'm this far in and there's a couple minor mistakes on like something like a rose, if this was like a portrait, I would probably have to adjust it more, unless it was like, see, having this negative space here opens up where you look into the flowers, and I just think it makes it a lot more convincing. And then just kind of filling in the background as well. And then I don't want it to look fake. I want the background to look convincing as well. So we're gonna work on some of the folds back here later. Here we have a really dark color against this vase, and I'm making it warm because I want it to stand out against the greeny blue color. I'm not gonna go all the way down, just like about there, and then kind of come off. I feel like the last couple of nights I've been painting at night, and I haven't really been able to like see what I'm doing very well, and I feel like that's caused a lot of problems of me having to go back and forth and fix things that I normally wouldn't have to fix. So it's really helpful to see what you're doing when you're painting. I like to move around because then it fills in a little bit more of the picture, and it helps establish like what's going on in the rest of the picture. Okay, and then I always sometimes will take my brush and like soften something with some water. Like if there's something that I want to get rid of, just take some water, and acrylic will be surprisingly forgiving when it comes to that. But like when I step back, I've added some shadows to this third flower, and stepping back, it pushes it into the background much more successfully. Like if I'm just looking at it through my phone, it actually pushes it into the background. This one, I like how it's loose and I can see its form from far away. But I think maybe just defining, like bringing this petal up a little so that it's not hanging quite so low. Again, this flower I don't particularly like because in my photo I can actually see a lot more of this green. That's kind of a whole thing to fix though. Okay, there we go. We have an interesting shape. Now that's not perfect to what it looks like in my photo, so let me try and fix it a little bit more. I might switch brushes. I feel like this brush is becoming a little bit difficult to use. Okay. I don't know what I was doing when I was painting this. Just having this green. I should probably zoom you in. I'm a horrible video maker. The only thing I'm thinking about is if we get rid of this stem. So it's more like it could curve, or do we like the stem? It's kind of very centered, but it could work. I think we're gonna leave it for now. I'm not trying to make a photocopy painting, but I'm trying to pull some of these areas together so that the painting is more effective. And my flowers are starting to die. Actually, those pink ones look good, but the roses are starting to die and the blossoms, so I'm using my phone. So I painted some roses. I wish I had a picture of it before, but I painted some roses, and then a couple of years later, I went back to it and I just took a big brush and made some more decisive strokes and then added in some extra details. But it's soft when you look at it. It's nice and soft. I feel like this one's getting a little bit jumbled. See, it's a little too contrasted. This one has, oops, not that one, a softness, decisive marks. I mean, that one's cool too, but the point is you just need some light and dark and mid-tones and like decisive strokes in order to make a painting. Just some nice decisive dark and lights. Like this. You can tell it's a flower, but there's really not that much that defines it as so. When I'm painting from life, I'm well aware that like my flowers are not gonna last. And I do take pictures. I was taking pictures like pretty much every day because the roses looked slightly different in those times, but in my head I know I don't have forever to finish this because I have a real subject. And so it's kind of like it helps you be a little bit more decisive, I think. Okay, see how long I've been sitting? Make sure you step back. I was looking for a reduction glass on Amazon. It's like a magnifying glass in reverse, so it'll make everything look smaller and you don't have to stand up, you know, as much, but I don't know, I could not find it at all. I don't know, I think I'm gonna take a break. I take a lot of breaks and it really helps me, I think. So we're gonna put this painting away and I'm gonna do some studies. I have these new art shelves. They're incredible. I have 2 of them, but they hold artwork, they can hold canvases. I think they're 50 something, 55 inches long, but they're solid wood and they have like a little groove to hold your paintings. There's that painting. I also, I didn't show this painting, I don't think, but this used to be a different painting. She had a really ugly face. So what I did was I went on Pinterest. I could not find the photo reference that I used. So I don't actually know the light source because I painted it so bad. I'm like, where is the light coming from? It's kind of everywhere. I don't know. So maybe it is an all-around light source. But I didn't like her face, so I went on Pinterest and I was trying to find a picture of a girl that was in a similar pose. Because I already had this, right? I had this, and I like this painting. So I found a picture of a girl. Her face isn't perfect, but I just decided to merge them so that I could have this finish. And then I completely redid the background. There was like sky in the picture before and a bench and like flowers. And it just was like looking really crammed in there. So I just made it like a smooth background and it's kind of like a foresty thing. But at least I like it better than it was. Same with these oranges. The background was really stupid and these oranges aren't done. Like this one was an old painting. The oranges, that was an old painting that I'm starting to redo. I've just started working on the sky and then I've redone that one. So I'm trying not to just completely cover up a painting if I can fix it. Actually, down here, I've got a pile of paintings that instead of covering up, I just might want to fix or add a little extra love. I don't know about this one, but let's see. This one, I think I can touch up. This one, I just kind of want to fix the skin tones and stuff. I have a picture. This is me and my mom. And then, you know, etc., etc. Like these roses are just not done well at all. These 2 objects are really crammed in there. So things that I feel like I could just fix. I never really loved it. I feel like it could be a lot better. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on. And I'm really enjoying the idea of just like improving old works whilst working on new ones.